Hi guys, it is, I don't know if you can see this, 10:47 at night, Saturday, January 17th, 2014, and I've been doing, or attempting to do, Immortallium's 24-hour manga challenge, because of some extenuating circumstances, which I explained in the first video. I was unable to do this during my Christmas break. So, yeah. Immortallium has allowed me to break this up a little bit more than I wanted to. I wanted to do 2 12-hour sessions, and that just has not happened. So, anyway, it is now 10:48, and I started reading at 3:30. So that's about 7 hours and 20 minutes. And it is taking me longer to read the manga than I thought it should take me. So, anyway, I just finished Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Osamu Tezuka's Blackjack. And when I first started reading them, I really didn't like it that well. I thought I was absolutely going to love it. And I really didn't like it as much as I thought. I thought some of the scenes were kind of too gory, and I was glad it was in black and white. And it just, I don't know, I didn't like it. But the more I read of it, the better I liked it. And there were a few stories that I absolutely didn't like. And then there are some stories that I really liked. And let me explain. Blackjack is this doctor, and he was injured very severely, and his body was all kind of broken, and they had to sew him back together in pieces, and his face got severely injured. So there's a story about it, and half of his face had to have a skin graft put on, and the only person that was available that would do it was a dear friend of his who did not have the same skin color that he had. He had a darker skin color. So half of his face is dark and half of his face is light. And anyway, he does not have a medical license, but he is like a genius. I'd call him... Oh shoot, who is that character? That invented Frankenstein. Anyway, he's like this mad genius. And he comes across as being kind of cold-hearted, and he's very eccentric, and kind of like this mad scientist is what he comes across as being. But he really has a good heart, and he charges an exorbitant amount of money for his services, but every now and then there'll be a story that he doesn't. Blackjack was written or drawn by Osamu Tezuka, I believe, from the years late 70s to early 80s, or early 70s to early 80s. And it was published in a magazine, a Japanese magazine, and I can't remember the name of it right now. But this is like a series of several short stories. So you can actually pick up any volume that you want and open it up and pick a story and read that story. Now, there's 2 reoccurring characters. There's Blackjack, of course, and then there's this little girl character who's really 19, but she acts like she's 2. And let's see if I can remember her name. Oh, I cannot remember her name right now. That's because I'm so tired. Oh, this is terrible. Pinocchio? Pinoko? Pinocchio? And anyway, there is a story in this volume about how she came to be. So you really need to read that to kind of understand the rest of it. But other than that, they don't seem to have a lot of connection. But she does reoccur in several of these stories. These stories are placed in here seemingly in no particular order. I wish they would have been either put in here chronologically, how they were published in the magazine, or chronologically by how Tezuka drew them. Or if they weren't going to be that way, I wish, like at the beginning, it gives you the name right here of the story. And I wish it would have put underneath here the date it was published. So at least you could have some idea in your head as to the order that these were published in. And you could kind of understand if like the ones you liked better were his earlier works or his later works. So that's kind of hard. I guess I would have to go back and research and find out exactly the dates that these were published. But anyway, some of these I liked, some of these I didn't. One of my favorites is this one, U18 New. That's really a cool story. It's about this lady doctor who invented a computer. And the computer was taking the place of humans in medical care. And not to give a lot of it away, but this is the picture that's on the back cover here. Not to give a lot of it away, but the computer had a glitch in it, or a piece of it that was broken. And so the computer became a little more human. It thought that it was human, and it thought that it was sick instead of being a machine that was broken. So it called Blackjack, who was the doctor, because the doctor cures sick patients. So Blackjack came and researched it and helped the computer, and it's a really cool story. That was one of my favorites. And another one of my favorites is the one right after that one. This is still volume 1. The one right after that one, it's called... Let me see if I can find it. The Legs of an Ant. And it was really cool. I read this like probably over 2 hours ago. The Legs of an Ant. And it's about disabilities and this child that had polio. Or this young man that had polio. And when Blackjack had gotten so broken and they put him back together, his body didn't work right and he couldn't walk, and the doctor told him to walk, and that would help strengthen him and he would become better. And he started walking. Excuse me. And anyway, this young gentleman decided that because he had polio and he was going to go on this walk, and long story short, the walk that he was taking was the same walk that Blackjack had taken. And so Blackjack kind of follows him and helps him and protects him along the way. So that's really a cool story too. This is the one about the little girl that tetratoid cystoma. If you get the Blackjack series, you need to read this story. If you don't read them in order, at least read this one first out of volume 1, because that explains about the little girl character. And I just find her kind of annoying, although she does have her place. Okay, volume 2, I just finished it, and I'm getting very, very sleepy. One of the ones that I liked was... Oh, let's see. I liked Granny. I loved Granny. And Granny was kind of ironic because, not to give anything away, but something had happened with this mother's son, and she needed Blackjack to fix him, and no, she needed another doctor to fix him, and she had to pay a large sum of money for this doctor to fix him, and she vowed if it took her entire life, she would pay this doctor back. And long story short, she does end up paying the doctor back, but then her son gets involved, and yeah. So you ought to read this to see exactly how the son is involved and how the story comes back around full circle, because I don't want to give too much away. And the other one that I really liked is The Ballad of the Killer Whale. It's a very sad, sweet story. And it kind of shows Blackjack's more caring and gentler side. There's this killer whale that Blackjack finds on the beach, and killer whale needs help. And so when he gets injured, Blackjack, comes and fixes him and doesn't charge him anything, of course, because he's a whale. But since he is a whale and he is getting treatment, he wants to try and pay Blackjack back. So, excuse me. Whenever he needs treatment or to be fixed, he will bring Blackjack a pearl from an oyster as payment. And it's a very, very sweet, sad story, and that's all I'm going to say about that one. Let's see. There were several other ones. I actually liked, this one. Where Art Thou, Friend? This is kind of the story of Blackjack when he was very young and when he got injured, and about him needing a skin graft, and about his only friend that would donate his skin. And this one is connected to another story, and I forgot the name of it. But anyway, down the road, the friend reoccurs. But let's see. There were so many of them in here. There's a few that I did not like, absolutely didn't like. There was a lot that I did like. Stradivarius. It's the one on page 215. That was really cool. Right here, Stradivarius. Blackjack was on this plane, and anyway, it gets, there's a lot of wind and a snowstorm, and the plane can't fly anywhere, so they get stranded, and they have to go to this Eskimo village. And there's a guy that's on the airplane who is a famous violinist, and they were told to leave all of their personal belongings on the plane because it is so windy and so cold out there that they'll be lucky to make it to the Eskimo village alive without any belongings. But the violinist insists on bringing his prized violin, and it's about what happens when he does that. He's valuing a material possession more than his own life. But I understand why he did that. And it's a really cool story. Has kind of an odd ending. I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah. It's really cool. And you should read that one for sure. One thing, there's this violin right there. I'm going to show the artwork. The artwork is very detailed. He's put a lot of time and effort into his artwork. And it's amazing. It's probably one of the reasons why it took me longer to read these than I thought. Because I kept looking at the artwork and looking at all the detail that he's put into this. And just how much time it would take to draw all of those lines and yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So, I'm going to show you the very end of this one. I'm going to show you the last page, but not very long, because it's really cool. See, there's the last page. Okay, it's really cool, and you really need to read that one. So, these are the only 2 Blackjack volumes that I have. Some of them are very hard to get, some of them are very expensive to get. This one, I ordered them as new, at least I think I did. This one is all bent up and creased on the edge. You can kind of see that. But I believe that's because it got banged around in the box that Amazon put them in. They didn't put any packing or anything. They just threw the books in a box and they just banged around, which kind of irritates me. But anyway, at first when I started reading these, I really thought I was going to absolutely love them. And then the first volume I didn't care for that much. But the more I read, the more I liked it. So now I'm back on the mindset of, yes, I want to get more of them. They were originally published like in hardcover, and the hardcovers are tremendously expensive, which is a shame because there's an additional story in each of the hardcovers that's not in the paperback. But, you know, can't afford some of the paperbacks. You can't even afford because they are out of print and so expensive, much less the hardbacks. And maybe someday they'll republish those stories, I hope, to where we can read them. And that would be nice. But yes, I'm going to try and get some more volumes of Blackjack. Another thing I like about them is because it is a series of short stories. If you have 20 minutes or 30 minutes and you want to read a story, you can pick up the book, flip to any story in here, and just read a story. Some of them are kind of twisted. They're kind of sci-fi-ish. They're kind of warped. Some of them are ironic. Some of them have strange, unexpected endings. So, yeah, they're really cool. My hair is sticking out. I washed my hair today. Yeah, they're really cool. So I would recommend them, at least trying them. And Immortallium has done a wonderful review on Blackjack volumes 1 through 3. Much better than I could have done because he's more knowledgeable about Japanese manga and can give you better facts about it. But as a person who really hasn't read any manga, I thought these were really good. Some stories, of course, I would not want to read again, but other stories, I actually went back when I was reading these and looked at parts of the story I was reading again so I could look at the pictures and the artwork. So, yeah. It is, okay, now 11:05, 11:06. I started at 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 7.5 hours in. So I was going to try to get 8 hours. So I still have 30 minutes, and I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to read anything else for 30 minutes tonight, or if I'm going to call it here and tack on 30 minutes to my next session. I wanted to get 8 hours for 3 times, although I could have done 4 times of 6, but yeah, I think because I'm getting so sleepy, what I'm reading, that's why it took me longer too. The last couple of stories that I read out of here, I kept having to reread everything because I was just getting so sleepy. So I'm going to take a break, and either if I wake up, I will read some more, and if I don't, then I will call this here and live to work on the manga marathon another day. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, good evening.